everybody. How are we all doing? It's nice to be back. I know it's been a while. It's like I said, it's great to be back tonight. We got a good group for you. The other guys will be coming on late, but as usual, we have Mr. John Schweitzer with us. John, it's good to see you, man.
Hey, I had a birthday yesterday. It's
Oh,
good to see.
that's right. I forgot about that.
It's good to see anybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have a good time or no? Just
I didn't
chill
do
and
anything.
relax?
I didn't do anything. I ate. We had turkey. I mean, just like Thanksgiving.
Well, that's always good. Turkey,
And
you
then,
know.
we had turkey then and turkey today. And this is doing
Good
something
deal.
strange here. So I'm going to push a button. I hope I don't get lost here. There we go. You can still see me
Okay.
and all. All right.
Yeah, I got you. Now
Yeah.
that
So,
got your button.
I'm in a tryptophan coma. You know how
Okay.
turkey does you.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
jeez. It was good.
Well, it's
though.
good to see you, man. I'm glad you're on tonight. And like
Yeah.
I said, the other guys will be coming on later, everybody, probably in 10, 15 minutes.
Excellent.
Most.
I miss
And
him.
tonight we're blessed to have a good friend of mine I've had on the trail a couple times. Great guy, got some good knowledge. Mr. Joe Vogel. Joe, it's great to see you, man.
You too, Jeremiah. And it's
Thanks
a pleasure
for,
to meet you as well.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It's good to have you.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Well, tonight, everybody, we're on the Skookum Session podcast. We'll actually be doing an episode of On the Trail at some point this week. But for tonight, we're going to do our usual thing for this show. And that's we're going to have a pretty, it might get a little wild tonight with the discussion. The ultimate question, what are they? And when I say what are they, we all know that I'm speaking of Sasquatch.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. John says, oh, yeah. We're going to get into it tonight.
Classic Chryslers.
What's that, Joe?
I said, I thought this was about classic Chrysler products. I'm sorry.
I did. I thought it was cake baking and well.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to go into that, we
a
can.
cooking show.
Yeah, beef stew.
It's always nice to try new things, right?
Right.
So I guess we'll get started.
Sure.
The three of us, and as the other guys come on, we'll bring them on in and get their opinion on this whole weird obsession we all have. But anyway, so like I said, tonight is going to be what are they? So I know we all have different opinions. John, I'm going to let you get this ball rolling.
I'll start a hassle and argument with everybody. You know that, don't you?
Well, that's what we want. We're all adults.
That is my job. That's my job. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
To be perfectly honest, anybody listening, I do not have a scientific theory, or do I have anything that I can find that's basic science as to why or what.
Okay.
I just know that there seems to be, and as I've always said, if this does exist, all right?
Okay. Yep.
Never seen one, but I seen something, and I cannot tell you what it was. Looked like it was looking at me or checking me out while I was going through the woods by myself.
Okay.
Now,
let me ask you a question, John.
Sure.
I've never asked you this before. When you saw this thing, okay, or thought you saw, or whatever, always see how you put it, did it look like the typical description of a Bigfoot?
I saw this much.
Okay.
That. Can you see what I'm saying? So I saw part of a nose, an eye, a cheekbone, and what I thought was an ear, and I saw it that fast. All right. So I had enough time to look and see this, look to the side, and it's like bang. As soon as I looked, it split.
Okay.
And it was when I went over to where it was standing and I reached in the air, the area that the motion was in, was as high as I could reach. And I stand probably about 5'8", 5'9". I was 5'10", but I got the herniated disc. So, now
Right.
the area you would have to, the only way I could describe it was just like, imagine in the distance, this is a tree trunk, a tree that's probably, oh, good grief, 30, 34, maybe 36 inches in diameter. That's laying down. All right.
Okay.
And then the limbs at the end spread out. All right. Well, right about like this area right here. All of this is covered by vegetation.
Right.
So there's a little area that you and I would just love to check out hunting deer out of, right?
Oh, sure.
So
sure.
the area was pretty strategic because all of this was covered. We've got vines here. We call them grapevines here. I don't know. To this day, I don't know. All I know is we chop off the end and swing out over a ravine with them, having fun, But that area, I couldn't see anything, all I could see was where you see the most. When I say I saw that much, I guess you might say this side. I probably saw like the right side if it was a face. But I saw what was a wet and then away. Now,
away. Now, was there any tracks?
I didn't see any. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. But when I went over to check it out, like I say, now I thought, it went through my mind that I had just seen a deer because they'd be gray, all right, at that period of time here. And what I thought I was looking at was when a deer flips its tail up, you got, it's the south end of a northbound deer because it was wet, right?
Right.
But that tail is white. It's not a black tail. It's a
not
white,
black.
No, it's a white-tailed deer. Okay.
Yeah.
So that blew that out of the water. And then I thought a bird. Well, there was enough above all of this that I would have seen it. All right. And it would have had to have been an eagle, a buzzard, or a turkey. And I still.
Due to the fact that it was black.
We got bald eagles here. So blows that out of the water because of their white head and the belly and so forth.
Right.
A turkey, well, they're the right color, but they're not the right shape.
Right.
And a buzzard, well, they call them turkey buzzards. So
turkey, we call them turkey vultures here.
They have a red head.
Right.
And I may not be the greatest woodsman in the world, but I do know what those look like. And it's like saying, I do know what a bear looks like, So, and I would have seen them go.
Oh, wait, John, hold that thought 1 second. We've got the man in the house. We have Mr. Gary Spikes with us tonight. Yes. Gary, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Long time no see.
Good to see you. You look great, man. You look good.
About 47 pounds lighter, lean, mean, and green. And
absolutely. And Gary, you remember Joe Vogel, right? You and I interviewed him?
Idaho. We got him hooked up with Nate Rudd. Yeah.
That's right. I don't live in Idaho anymore, though.
Oh, really?
I moved back to Pennsylvania.
And then, of course, we got Papa John over here.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Good to see you guys, man. I know I keep repeating myself, but damn. It's good to see you.
What's it been, 8 years?
I feel better, man. I feel better.
About 6 months. I've been sick for 4.
Yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better, man. I was worried about you there.
Well, John, you knew I had a stroke, didn't you?
Nope. Nobody keeps me up. I don't know nothing.
Oh, geez, we're hearing the guilt trip now.
we honestly
no, I'm sorry to hear that, man, but I'm glad to see you're walking and talking and being mean and chasing mommy around the house, I assume.
Yeah. It was scary. A guy my age shouldn't be having strokes.
Yeah.
No. I'm glad you're feeling better, Gary, and it's really good to see you again, man.
You know,
really good to see you.
at 73, I worry about that stuff all the time, you know. But if it happens, it happens, and it's going to happen, and there's nothing I can do about it.
But I'm 44.
Yeah.
Are you? Yeah, we're the same age. That's right. Yeah. To fill you in, Gary, we're gonna have quite the discussion tonight. The big question: what are they? Ooh. So it could get a little interesting.
For sure, man. For sure.
So John, you want to continue?
Sure. Yeah,
I can. Talking about how John, what he saw, and what conclusion he came to on that.
Yeah, that was back around 19. Oh, good Lord, no. Was that 98, 97? Right,
so it was quite a while ago.
I mean, I remember it real, it shocked me because you get to thinking about what the hey did I just see,
Right. Yeah.
And then around 2011, 2012, I came across some footprints.
Okay, that's where I was confused.
Yeah.
I remember you saying something about tracks.
Now you've seen the footprints. I think if you'll give me a moment, I'm going to take this off. I will show. I've got the footprints in a photo. Just give me a moment. All right.
Okay. You mind if I move on to Joe while you're doing that?
Move on, and when you see me come back, just mute everybody else, and then all right. I'll be right back. They're right down here, right at my feet, basically. But I got to bend over and do a bunch of stuff. All right, hang on.
It may take you a while. Anyway, Joe. It's good. Like I said, it's good to see you again, man. And you're back in PA. How's the weather?
It's cold and snowy. Wintertime and whatnot here. So we got about 10 inches of snow on the ground, and then about another 4 inches today.
Yeah. So what's your opinion, Joe?
January blues. My opinion?
Yes. What do you think these things are that we all are obsessed with?
Well, my opinion is that, I've always ever since I saw the first one I saw when I was 10 years old. Right. I knew right away what it was at the time. I said, oh, well, that's a Bigfoot, but what they actually are, I got a kind of in the relic hominid camp. Pretty much something that either has been with us since mankind and all its predecessors have walked the earth, and is a creature that has possibly lived amongst us and evolved with us, beside us, and has learned to avoid us pretty much,
right.
Just like the Neanderthals, they would have started avoiding the humans because humans were eating them, and I think the Sasquatch probably would have learned a long time ago that we were, not to be trusted.
Yeah.
So
I think all sorts of wildlife knows that we can't be trusted.
So I feel that there's something that, like I said, they evolved along beside us. They may have come across that Bering Land Bridge roughly the same time we did, or before us, or after us, but whatever they did, they came out. I believe they came out of, primarily out of Siberian area, across the land bridge into Alaska and then down. I've been reading a lot of books and stuff. Are you familiar with Graham Hancock?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not. Gary, are you?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I am. I love that theory on the where they actually came across and come down along with the first.
Right, and how they settled down in South America and all that, right? So, and he's postulated a couple theories about human expansion into North and South America, and there's really no valid reason I can think of why these creatures would be excluded from that expansion. I think they just moved in along with us.
That's a good point.
So,
well, in saying that, we have legends from the Navajo and the Pueblo of giants coming from the south. They say that the Navajo actually didn't come from the north. They originally did, but they went farther south and come back up. And then when you get into the Aztec and like the Mayan traditions, my second wife is Aztec, half Aztec from Peru. They talk about a big hairy hominid in Peru they have for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I believe it.
I would not know why they would stay in one area if they could push them, especially if the First Nations, went to war with them, would push them farther south.
Right. So you kind of you're on the same line. Yeah.
I feel, like I said, I feel there's something that they've been around us, and I as of late, I'm kind of getting a little more than concerned about the species, thinking they might be on their way out. The few examples that we have left, it's really frustrating that in this day and age we still haven't got really good footage other than the Patterson film. And honestly, it's got to happen eventually, but everybody stares at their phones these days. They don't look around at the world around them, so that's going to reduce our chances of seeing the thing if it is working around. I got lucky, man. The first time I saw one, I was totally fortunate. Right place, right time. I told you the story. I was walking home from sled riding. I crested that little hill. As soon as I crested the hill, it walked across the road right in front of me. I mean, it wasn't, my house is it was probably about 50 feet away, and I got a clear shot of it. I can still see it plain as day. Like right now, I can describe almost every piece of the thing.
Oh, yeah.
The second one, I didn't get that good of a look at, but the encounter lasted like 45 minutes. So I spent a little time with this thing, I only got to see it there at that first second after the dogs came out of the woods.
Yeah.
And then once I spotted it, and things got really crazy after that, it ended with me taking a couple shots in the air to try to drive it off, which thankfully was successful.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
But
interesting. That's some good stuff, Joe. I brought up some good points there.
The first one, the first creature and the second creature were the only similarities they had, that they were kind of hair covered. The first creature was lanky. I just remember I told you it was kind of like built like a basketball player more than like a big bulky Sasquatch. Yeah. And it was gray in color. And then the second one was enormous, dark black, like black bear, shiny black.
Right.
Beast of the creature. And I got to see that one from like 30 feet away. So I got a good look at it for the second and a half. I had that light on it. It's trapped in my brain forever.
Right.
So
sure. And
I think they've been around as long as we have, if not longer. And I kind of worry sometimes I think they might be going extinct, or they are dying off, or we're encroaching too far into their territories, and they're being pushed into areas they can't survive in, or the food sources aren't available. But I don't know that for sure. And I'm not really what I classify as like a tree hugger, but
right.
It's a distinct possibility. And it could account for why we haven't seen that many of them, or at least had the opportunity to catch them on film,
Right.
And there's so many hoaxers out there anymore. It's just, I kind of like got away from the community for like the last year or so, just because I got tired of these. I'm not going to name any names, but there are guys out there that are just, they're only in it for the money. They manipulate, and they try to coax people. They try to force visions on people that aren't there. They try to show you these pictures of leaves that don't include anything other than leaves and more leaves.
That's right.
And just got frustrated. I got really frustrated, and I just think, okay, whatever. There's only so much you can do with this. There have been a couple interesting pictures come out. There have been a couple interesting photographs come out, and there's been a couple pieces of video that are very intriguing, but I would really like to see a little more action.
Sure.
But it's just not, it just doesn't seem, it's too elusive.
Yeah.
So but I know they exist. I'm not here to dispute that they exist, because I know they do. I've seen them twice. I saw them once as a child, and interacted with one as an adult, in an unwelcome kind of way. But I think they've been around as long as we have, and I'm hoping that the species is still flourishing and not dying away.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's some good stuff, Joe. Gary, before I move on to you, John has a little something he wanted to show us.
Oh, and I want to see his prints again.
My prints?
Yeah, see him, John.
All right. Let me know. I've got some prints. I've also got a pretty good picture here of pareidolia. Okay, now let me know if you can see this. Now, a little better to the light. You tell me. Okay, now look at the tape.
I can see something.
All right, that shoe is my size 12.5 Converse. Do you see the mud track?
Yes.
19 inches, and that is in clay and gravel. Now, okay, he's only got one. Not so. They were about 5 feet from the heel to the toe.
Okay.
That one's in vegetation.
Yes.
In a straight line right behind the first one. Now, so that people can get some idea here, maybe I'm not disputing what's a toe and what's not. I'm trying to get it here. But you see where the outline could possibly be? Yeah. You see, like back in here, back in here, the mud's mushed up around it. It was only about this deep, but I'm telling you, it was in clay and gravel. It was much like in Jurassic Park when you seen the T-Rex push down and the mud come up around its foot. It was like that, and it was all the way around this. Now I'll show you again. I mean, you might be able to see. You can see where it's heaviest right back in here, and then again in front, right in here. But mainly, I think that's the heel. I think. But dude, look, from where my finger is to where my finger is roughly 19 inches. That's my, like big. I said, that's my 12.5 foot next to it. This thing, you figure it's this wide. My foot doesn't cover that. Look at that. My foot would only cover about 2/3 of that width.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had a measurement on the width.
Approximate 6.5 inches, maybe 7. Now, we all, while I'm getting this other one, you see, the first time I ever had anything to do with any of this would have been about 1974 when they opened up, and I probably got that date wrong. It might be 77. When they opened up muzzleloading season for deer here. And we were down in the Hoosier National Forest outside Martinsville, Morgan Monroe Forestry, not too far off of Low Gap Road, which you've heard of that road before.
I've heard about it, you know, Chance used to
Low Gap Road. Yeah. Well, it was about 11:30, 12 o'clock. I had to pee. So I got up for the call of nature. And I don't remember the moon being out, but it was one of those kind of nights that's so crisp and so clean and so clear that you breathe and your nose feels like it all freezes and burns, kind of like, you know, and you enjoy it. But the sky was filled full of stars. And off in the distance, I hear this. And I thought,
clicking, Gary. Yeah.
Yay, somebody's poaching a Christmas tree. You know, that's what come to my mind. And then I heard it again, you know, click, click, you know, I mean, it was, I say 400 yards away. And I expected to hear somebody fire up a chainsaw. Never happened. Here come a car down Low Gap Road. And it was a really poorly tuned, you know, standard, you know, transmission probably, but it was really poorly tuned. Anyway, once that car passed, I heard it again. So I just chalked it up to stuff, you know, stick it back here in my head, right back here somewhere to worry about it later. Well, I was watching that show that what's his name? Leonard Nimoy was on.
In search of, yeah.
Yep. And they had the Bigfoot thing, and I went, oh, that's cool. Yeah, Yeti, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not trying to give a complete history here, but just some highlights. And then I heard the tree knock while I was in the kitchen, and I tell you what, I couldn't make it back in front of that TV fast enough. And and then my hair stood up on the back of my neck, and that's exactly what I heard. What are they talking about? You wasn't able to go back and start over again like you can now. So
Right.
I had to listen to it, catch the episode a year later or whatever. But in that time period, I went and I saw the Iceman, or the Man in the
Okay.
Ice, or the
Yeah.
Minnesota Iceman,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. And one of our person we both know
Yep.
had wrote a book on it, and he
Yep.
said that he thinks that the one I saw was the copy. And
Mm.
I tell you, when I come off that, it was on like a little raised stage. You can see people walk up and they look in this
Right.
huge ass freezer, excuse my French. And
Sorry.
and I just, what it looked like, I mean, I heard a refrigeration running, and there was plastic over the top of the, like plexiglass over the top of this freezer instead of a lid. Or maybe, if it's been a while, maybe the plexiglass was built into the lid and the lid was shut. I just don't remember. But I do remember it looked a lot like the way I described it. Remember, a bubble pack over a body, but the
Okay.
bubble pack was ice, and you could see where it was actually melted away, and the body, the cat, or the place the body was, it contoured with that somewhat.
Okay.
And of course, people said, "Well, what did it look like, man?" Well, I can remember seeing a couple of teeth, but other than that, well, here again, like what I saw in the woods, only about this much is what I saw. The rest of it was blood. And I remember seeing a toenail and how human the toenail looked. And that toe, now here's my thumb, that toe had to be as wide as both of my thumbs. That toenail had to be that long. And
Wow.
it stuck out over the end of the toe. Oh, that's about a 1/4 inch, roughly. Now, if this was a mock-up, somebody had done some pretty good work for back in 1970s.
I was just gonna say, now if it was a copy, why if you were to copy and hoax that, would you think to put a toenail in there, guys? I mean, what do you?
No. And it wasn't completely covered with hair. It had hair like on the chest. It had hair like you or I. I mean, I've got hair, and my hair runs across the pecs and down and into the genital area. All right, it did too, but it had hair that was heavier on each thigh and running down the front outside, like where you get shin splints, the shin, and then on the top of the foot. But the hair was only about this long. I mean, it was longer than body hair, and it was coarse enough you could see it through the ice, through probably, I don't know, 10, 12 inches of ice. You could see it through.
So that's good. It's quite a bit of ice.
Yeah, yeah. So it's, and some of the ice was clear and some of it wasn't. It was bubbly. And I assumed that the ice that was bubbly was from decomposition or gas that would be let off because of bacteria. Now, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I've got there's an interview that's on YouTube, and I think if you listen to that YouTube, you'll find out I'm telling you exactly the same thing now as I did when the interview was taken. But I ask a question. I heard somebody go, what? Was there a question? No? Yes?
No, I was just gonna ask you about the. Let's see it. Come on now.
Boy, she's pretty. Oh, all right. Pareidolia.
All right. Let's see.
What do you see? That's a shadow of trees laying across the creek. What do you see? What? What do you see? You see a tree that's got a hole in it, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the circle.
Yeah, that ain't what it is. I walked up and down that creek looking for the tree and I couldn't find it. I got a closer view of it. If you'll notice, the shadow of the tree comes up and over the top of the stone and out.
Okay.
And the sunlight is coming in from this angle. And what you see right here is the under edge of the stone because the sunlight's coming from the opposite side.
Yeah, that side's in shadow. Yeah.
It's in shadow.
Yeah.
So what does it look like? Oh my God, I seen a tree with a hole in it. And I'm going to spend the rest of my day looking, nope. So anyway.
That's some good stuff, John. Now,
Good night, boys. That's all. No.
Gary.
Yeah, that's is this not enough to make a guy wonder? Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, anybody that has seen one, I go, cool. But I got to say, I haven't seen one.
Yeah.
So until I do, I can only go, oh man, that's pretty cool. I will not call anybody a liar on that.
Right.
Although every one of us know on YouTube, you got people out there that are flat out liars and they want
bullshitters.
Money.
Let's call it what it is.
Yep. Yeah. They want the money.
That's one of the things that kind of drove me away for a while. I was just like, I've had enough of this nonsense.
Right.
So,
Gary,
quick, I don't know if you guys can see this, or I'm going to do my best. This is on my phone, so good luck. Yeah, it's probably not going to. I think I sent these to you, man. It's not going to show up.
You did, I think, a while back.
But that was from, those prints were from when the one my stepson saw back in 2007.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was from that one. And, that kid to this day, he's still trying to fight for his credibility, about what he saw, and it's not going to go away because no one else saw it at the time. Everybody automatically lays in doubt.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to him. I mean, I understand everybody's opinions, but fortunately enough, he had me, and I had seen one, like I said, as a child. So
right.
I knew that I've known these things have existed since I was 10 years old. And that's kind of been tough to live with, to go through your whole life and people talk about it and there's the what ifs and all that. And I just have to look at it like, well, if I hadn't seen one, I probably wouldn't believe in it either. So I gotta take the neutral ground on that one. But for the most part, from my experiences, this thing exists and is not only a real thing, it remains so mysteriously unexplained to this day. There's just so much we don't know. There's a lot we think we know, like what the X's in the woods mean and what the tree structures are supposed to symbolize, but we don't really know the answer to those questions. And anybody that says they do is a professional bullshit artist.
Yeah, those are the experts.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, let's all face it, Gary. You and I have had this discussion many, many times. There are no experts, first of all, and if they want to get rich, they're in the wrong field.
Too much competition.
You're right.
What is cool is to find a footprint, but what's better than cool is to watch it make the footprint.
You see,
and what is super cool is to watch it look at you and it have a heart attack and fall over because it's never seen you before, and then you've got a body.
Coming from personal experience, it's not cool when it looks at you. It makes you about have a heart attack.
I agree. I gotta agree with you on that one, Gary.
The one I saw when I was a kid, that rattled me hard, man. It took me a long time to put that out of my brain. But then the one that happened, the one in Idaho, that whole encounter was a whole other thing. That was not fun at all.
Right.
There was nothing cool about that. There was nothing great. If I could erase that from my memory, I'd probably surrender a piece of my anatomy in order to do it.
Just
That's
no,
right.
you don't have to do that. No, keep that anatomy. You never know, you might use it.
Gary, now I know
I'm
you know
talking
you.
about feet so they can run. Get away from them.
Yeah,
Anyway, go ahead.
exactly,
Go ahead.
exactly.
Yeah.
What is your opinion, Gary? I mean, you and I know just for the people out there, you know, you and I have had the discussion, but you kind of on same lines as Joe, or
We, me and you, we've been walking this path kind of together off and on for a
yes,
long time now.
yep,
And, you've seen me kind of go from one side to the other and back. And in the last few months, with me being sick, I've been doing nothing but serious research, getting in the
right,
woods myself and getting away from the YouTube stuff and
sure,
reevaluating my old reports and stuff like that. And over the past 7 years since I've started my channel, I've taken over 3,600 reports and looking back at them. And I'm going to tell you my personal opinion.
mm-hmm.
I don't think they're aliens. I don't
Right.
think I honestly don't think they're multidimensional creatures.
Okay.
I don't think that they're genetically spliced. I agree kind of with Joe and John says about the same thing.
Sure.
I think that they've been here the whole time. I think if you was to look at the natural fauna on this planet, that Sasquatch is more natural than we are.
Sure.
Their body structure, their biological structure matches closer to all the other animals on this planet. I believe that we might be an anomaly, no matter what caused that. I don't know, but
That's an interesting perspective. Yeah,
they're definitely more suited to life on this planet, especially living outside.
Now,
yes,
I'm not saying that they can't mind speak because I don't know. I've never had it happen to me. I've had prime opportunity. I've seen one at 22 inches face to face. He had the prime opportunity to mind speak with me. I've seen them track. I'm like John, finding that track to me is the most important thing, because then I find the next track and then I find the next track and I learn about their behavior.
mm-hmm.
They have a natural behavior. They eat, they sleep, they urinate, they defecate. They're
Mm-hmm.
a natural creature. Now they might have supernatural abilities. But I'm not saying that they're not supernatural, because some humans have supernatural abilities. We don't
Absolutely.
know. But I do believe that they are a biological creature. Now,
yes,
I also don't believe that they're an ape. I believe that they have a higher level intelligence, at least as high as ours.
I was just going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that if I was afraid if I didn't bring it up, I'd forget. Now, I'm with you on that one as far as their thought process goes, because you and I, like, again, have had this discussion. I know you've told me when you looked in its eyes, and I've told you when I looked in her eyes, there's a thought process there.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, they are just as intelligent, if not superior, with their intelligence to ours. That's just,
Well, it's the little things for me. We haven't habitualized in our area, our research area. And when you go out and you do a stimulus and they respond, dogs don't even do that. If you train a dog to bark or you make a sound, the dog barks. But these, like if we do one wood knock, they do one wood knock. We do two wood knocks, they do two wood knocks. That's reactionary. But then you turn around and you don't do any wood knocks, and they're doing one over here and then two over here and then answering over here. That shows to me there's an intelligence there.
Absolutely.
Well, just to expand on that just a little bit, I've actually heard a wood knock followed by a branch break.
Yeah.
Which is like I don't know whether it means the same thing or it's the similar type of communication. I believe the knock means one thing and the branch break means another. I'm not sure, but I've heard that before, like in close proximity. I tell you that when we went down to my stepdaughter's wedding down in Cascade, Idaho, we were sitting out on the deck at night.
Yes.
And we were talking. It was me, my wife Diane, and her ex-husband were out there sitting. And just to the left of us, we heard just crystal clear knock, just one like a perfect knock. And then seconds later, there was a tree snap, like probably 10 yards closer to us and slightly down the hill from us. So what was that? Was that a greeting and a reply? or what they were trying to communicate to each other was, "Yeah, I'm here," and this one says, "Oh, I'm over here."
I'm seeing kind of a cartoon in my mind. You got a wood knock, and then you got another one answered with a branch breaking, and I see this one going, "Oh shit, wrong piece,
One over.
rotten wood, never again." But you know what? This isn't putting anything down anybody's saying, but a raccoon and a possum are more intelligent in the woods than we are.
Oh,
very,
for sure.
very well.
For sure. For sure.
You should see
They
what squirrels
live
do,
there,
man.
Sure.
So what is this intelligence? Again, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying if,
Yeah.
but you all get why, Jeremiah, why, but yeah.
That's the reason I don't put it at levels. I don't say they're more intelligent than we are. They would, a cell phone, they would be like, "What in the world?" Well, us comparing ourselves in the woods with them, John, we spent most of our lives in the woods, and we still can't compare with these guys.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they don't speak just because they ain't got nothing to say. I mean, look how stupid we are.
Maybe they use sign language. The First Nations had a pretty in-depth, multi-tribal sign language. A Native American First Nation from Seneca could come to the Midwest and meet an Apache, and they could communicate using sign language.
Let's go kill a couple of, that's a turtle, guys. That's a turtle.
You're right, Gary. That's great. That's a good point. I guess as far as do I dare? As far as my opinion on what they are, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I have no idea. No. I used to be, and John, Gary, you both know this. I used to be a straight. Let me say, I do believe, like Gary, I believe they are a biological creature. I believe they are flesh and blood. But like Gary, again, I don't believe they are some sort of mountain ape, you know what I mean, or some sort of ape or whatever. I believe my thing is, in the last 5 years or so, I've experienced so much weird shit that will come before an experience, whether it's a sighting, whether it's a vocalization, whether it's a knock, whatever. It just very, I won't really get into it tonight, but just very weird things. And Gary, I think you know what I'm saying. So I'm kind of in the middle, and
let me ask you something.
Yes,
we haven't had this conversation. We started to have it. Can you 100%? Because I know you better than anybody. Can you 100% say that all of the supernatural stuff is atoned to Sasquatch, or is it something else?
That right, kind of like you and I have talked about. How are we dealing with more than one entity here?
Exactly. Especially in your case, because of your wife and that y'all's history with the paranormal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I believe there's different kinds of these things. I really do believe that we're dealing with more than one type of these things. So I guess I'm in the middle. It can be a very frustrating thing. We all know that. It's just
one thing that I can guarantee.
Yeah.
The more I learn, I find out the less I know.
Absolutely.
And the only guarantee of this is the more answers you find more questions.
Absolutely. Yep. The more questions, the more you answer, the deeper that rabbit hole gets. Yep. Absolutely. Now let's go.
That's life, man.
I'm
telling you,
it is. It's it's very
the older I get, the more I figure that I don't know, and the more I pray about it. So,
right.
Yeah, the realization of ignorance is quite eye-opening when you get older.
What's that, Joe? Can you repeat that?
I said the realization of ignorance, whenever you realize you don't know as much as you thought you did, about the world around us. you know, and
yeah,
it's quite eye-opening. That's all I have to say about that part. But the one thing I, you know, like you were just saying about how that there's different sorts of these creatures.
Yes.
I mean, if you were to put the creature I saw in Pennsylvania and the creature I saw in Idaho side by side, you would say same creature, different environment, different food source.
Fair enough.
Different, you know, just like, you know, just different living conditions.
Okay.
I would say they were pretty much the same in body structure, but not body build.
Okay.
And definitely not in the colorization for sure. Because the one, like I said, I saw here in Pennsylvania was like gray.
Yep.
And the one I said, like I said, the one in Idaho, but otherwise they had that same build. The shape of their head and their neck and everything was pretty much identical. So I think you might be, I don't want to use that word subspecies, but you definitely have, you know, they're like, just like there's different types of human beings, you know,
right?
The Asians and the Africans. And but so I think that is a good indicator that wherever they are in this country, you know, there's been reports of these ones down south that are somewhat shorter than these big ones they have out west.
Yep.
You know, and I don't know if that's just environmental. It could be for their food. It could be genetics. Could be a ton of different things.
But look at it this way. Look at even the population of bear. The bear in the Midwest and in the South is not as big as in the Pacific Northwest. The deer are not as big. I mean, to me, that's not an anomaly. That's the standard.
That is the standard. I agree.
You know, something that was brought to my attention the last few days is like, all right, now I'm not a geneticist, and when I start talking DNA, I'm like a chimpanzee with a cell phone and a hammer. All right, I don't know about it. All right, but something was brought to my mind in regards to DNA and the way some DNA works in programming. Say, okay, we'll say like hypothetically, polar bears. Yeah. Oh, my God, they're going extinct. Are they? Or are they doing what they have to do to survive? DNA is like a Swiss Army knife or a multi-tool. It's what it is until it needs to be used, and what part needs to be used. Yep. And that was what was brought to my attention by a doctor. And I went, oh, well, I could probably quote that sometime in the next few days, you know. But yeah. So, you know, here again, I got to say, like it says in the Bible, right off in Genesis, and I'm not trying to harp the Bible.
No,
okay, but it says, you know, creatures made within their kind.
Right.
All right. It's like when, if you believe, I do. I'm a believer. The flood. Oh my God! They took all of these animals. God, how many? Maybe 7,000, maybe. But they weren't full-grown animals. They were like a bunch of puppies, or a couple of puppies, or 3 or 4 puppies. You know, that way you can downsize a little bit. But those 2 puppies, dogs that we know, came from them. Wolves came from them. You had a canine. It's not to say you had a Saint Bernard or that you had a beagle. You had a canine. Yep. All right. And I'm not a believer that we come from chimpanzees. I am not, and never have been, never will be. Okay.
Yep.
So you got the Swiss Army knife. Yep. And it works well, Swiss Army knife DNA, and it works well for changing things in the animal world. That's what I wanted to say. It works well for doing that. So what? So we'll say, and here again, I hear fur, and you know, I'm thinking hair. what I
hair.
seen was hair. So if you
Yes.
got, I'll say it, dark hair, cinnamon colored hair, brunette, blonde, redhead.
Well, that sounds like a good time to me, brother.
It does. Especially at 2:30 in the morning. Any fox looks great, right?
That's right. That's right.
This is true, gentlemen. This is true.
Oh no.
Joe, Gary, both. Just wanted your opinion on this, on the hair and the fur thing. What is it you saw, Joe? Hair.
Yeah.
The
first one's hair was long,
okay,
and it was a little more scraggly, but it was, how hair is flowy, fur is dense and heavy and thick.
You saw hair like you saw hair like a muskox, kind of scraggly.
Somewhat. So that's a good example. That's a good example on the first creature. The second creature's hair was much shorter and a little more dense, but it was still hair. It wasn't like bear fur or
What was the geographical location of the two?
The first one was in Stallstown, Pennsylvania, which is like right in the heart of the Chestnut Ridge.
Uh-huh.
And the second one was in Kingston/Bumblebee, Idaho, which is in the northern panhandle, not too far from Canada.
All right, was the shorter hair was the shorter hair denser?
The shorter was denser.
Yeah.
And the longer was, like my hair or your hair. It was like this, it was just like hair.
Yeah. There's your Swiss Army knife. Yeah.
Like the hair, like the first one I saw, the hair hung down from the creature's arms.
Yeah.
A good distance. Probably about that far from the elbow was the hair. The second one was more close. The hair was shorter. It just seemed more closely cropped or whatever.
The hair on the forearm dissipated the closer it came to probably to about to here. And it
No,
dissipated,
actually,
right?
As it was walking, its arms were hanging down. Okay, so the hair was hanging down, and it actually partially occluded this part of its hand coming down off of here.
Oh, that's
human. Just a little bit to here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was long. I mean, it had like 6, maybe could be 8-inch long hair on its body, where like the second one I saw was, dark, shiny. It looked like black bear hair. You know how it's got a little bit of a sheen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I only saw it for about a second and a half, but it's what I needed, And the hair was nowhere near as, the first one, the gray one, I would say had more hair, where the second one being shorter, I think it had more hair on its arms and its torso than the first one did. So, but the first one had hair right up to here, like right below its eyeball, like right to the top of its cheekbone. It had, I don't want to call it a beard, but it was just fur covered or hair covered.
I've got it right up to here, and I have to shave that.
Yeah, I do too.
It comes. You've seen people. It comes like that, or right up here.
Yeah.
I got to shave up high too. I got to shave all the way down here to my chest
here,
here practically meet each other.
Well, we ain't gonna pull shirts off, but yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Now, Gary, were you? Did you get a good look at the coat, or no? Was it? I know it was dark. And
I did the hair on the head and the shoulders, but I did see it on the chest.
Okay.
And I have to go by these guys about the Swiss Army knife. I like to say perfection, natural perfection. That's the only way you're going to get anything perfect on this planet. Nothing man-made is going to be perfect. But yeah, the hair on the head was long, drooped down to the shoulders, and you can see it down the front of the chest over the shoulders. And then the hair, and I'm going to say hair myself, on the chest. The chest was kind of bare here, but you could see, 3 to 4 inch hair. And then on the arms and shoulders, where it curved down on the shoulders, I could see, 3 or 4 inch hair. And what weird is when he huffed that final time, I don't know if it's because of the movement, but I swear to God, every hair except for the long stuff, like poofed out when he huffed and stood up.
Okay.
Like, how a dog can make their hair on the back of their neck raise up. But it was definitely hair. I wouldn't call it fur, because the hair on his face and his beard and stuff was like down to here. It was over the chest.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on that. It's definitely, in my opinion, definitely. I think it's hair. It's from what I've seen in person. It's hair. What I've seen. And like you, Gary, you brought up an interesting point a few minutes ago. Like you, the last few months, being laid off and stuff, I've got a chance to go back through my old material. And like you guys, Joe, you were saying it too, like, in my reports, what I found is, there's a huge difference between the interviews I've done in the Northeast compared to the Southeast. The people are describing a totally different looking creature, totally built different, Joe, as you put it.
Yeah.
I found people are describing it more stockier.
There's anatomical similarities. There's anatomical similarities that are marked with body structure. Like I said, the first one I saw, I kind of, for a long time, I didn't want to believe it was a Sasquatch because it wasn't built. It didn't look like that Yeti from Rudolph the Red-Nosed.
Different.
It looked too much like a basketball player kind of built. Right. The second one, man, this is what I saw the second time. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. That's what I saw.
Yes.
It was leaning out from a tree. Okay. And so the first one walked right across the road. I had a full-on view of that thing as it went across.
Right.
So,
see, I'm even getting different, and I told you this, John, Gary, I told you guys this before. I get totally different depending on the region of the state I live in, whether it's the Adirondacks or from the Adirondacks and the St. Lawrence Seaway Valley. I get different descriptions. And that's not just in one or two cases. That's most of my stuff, from the state.
Genetic differentiation. Every species on the planet has genetic differentiation. Like the one that I seen was built more like, not exactly like, but similar to the Pacific Northwest, 5 foot broad shoulders and very tall.
Same here.
But
that's the one I saw in Idaho.
I've seen trackways, differentiation in trackways of narrower, skinnier, longer strides. And then real broad, long feet. I got to talk tracks because that's only knowledge that I can lay my eyes on.
Yeah.
With even longer strides. I think there's a genetic variation in it. I mean, you might have
absolutely
just like in humans. I mean, hell, I don't look like Jeremiah. Jeremiah don't look like
right.
I don't look like John. I can't help it. I'm sexier than y'all, but
right. You can't help something like that. Yeah. And Gary, another good point you brought up.
We make up for it in other areas.
Very well.
There's a lot to be said for a good personality.
Yeah.
Exactly. Another good point you brought up, Gary, with the deer. Okay. I've harvested deer up here in the Adirondacks, harvested in the Southeast, and they're much larger body wise up here than they are in the Southeast. Where
they're bigger here. They're bigger here in Pennsylvania. Like if you the deer here in Pennsylvania are, and this is not necessarily an exaggeration, but they're twice the size of the deer I've seen in Idaho. When it came to whitetails, Idaho whitetails look like dogs.
Right.
They're small and scrawny. You look at and I see some of these Pennsylvania deer. I have just acres and acres of pure woods right out my back door here.
Right. Same here.
In the woods, I look. It goes down into a ravine and then back up the other side. There's a hillside about a quarter mile away, and I just watch the deer run through there. And sometimes I'm just absolutely blown away at the size of these whitetails here in Pennsylvania.
Joe, if them Idaho deer are dogs, these Oklahoma deer are Chihuahuas.
Oh, really?
Small
like Mississippi deer.
Big buck here dresses out about 120 pounds.
Yeah, that's like Mississippi.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Mississippi too.
I will tell y'all this though. John has got some big deer there in
Indiana.
I took a 175-pound doe one time, and that was after I gutted it.
But I think y'all are on the right move here. You can't have a small, a black bear is not going to pull down 1,000-pound elk. It's just nature. So you got big browns where there's big prey. Nature in perfection.
Right.
You get up where some of the biggest moose on the North American continent is not in Alaska. It's up in upstate New York.
Maine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
massive. Idaho, I saw a moose in Idaho, man. It totally dropped my jaw. I still to this day can't believe how big those things are. And I was
they're ginormous creature.
300 yards away from this thing, and it was bigger. And I thought it rivaled an elephant in size, man.
Oh, they're huge.
Enormous.
I think the world record moose right now, or North American continent record moose right now, was not taken in Alaska or Idaho or Montana. It was taken in northern Vermont.
I think it was what 20 or 2. It was over. It was 2,000 pounds plus, wasn't it?
Oh, well, I think it's like 2450, 25,
24 something. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I had a buddy that hit a moose up in New Hampshire back in like 98, 96, 98, somewhere in there. He was driving a Ford Fiesta.
Did he live?
And he did. The car did not.
No.
The car did not, but he did. Yeah, he survived. It was absolutely. It was newspaper clippings and everything. I can't believe that car survived. Any of it, I can't believe the tires didn't get blown out.
That's the thing. People hit them up here. It's not from hitting the body of the moose. It's people are going right under the belly, and it takes the whole top of the car.
He took its front legs out from under it, and its body collapsed onto the hood of the car and into the windshield.
Right.
Yeah, people have been decapitated from moose encounters with small cars.
I was driving down Highway 81, driving a semi, and I watched an 89 model Pete 379 hit a moose, and the head of the moose went into the cab of the truck and decapitated the moose and decapitated the guy, they said.
Oh my God.
Demolished, you're talking a semi truck, but the thing was taller. I don't know. He dressed out 700 pounds.
Yeah. And you're talking a moose, the record that weighed a ton.
Yeah. Over a ton. Well, we're on this moose subject. Gary and I interviewed a gentleman. Okay. You know what I'm about to go into. Now, as we were saying, where there's big prey, there's big predators, right? So, Gary, you're gonna have to help me out here, right? But he watched the Sasquatch kill a full-grown bull moose.
Absolutely.
Up in Western Canada.
Do I know this guy?
Yes, you do.
You do.
Is it who I'm thinking it is?
Yes, it is.
I think so.
Okay. I mean,
it may not be.
No, I'm thinking somebody else. But okay.
The guy we're talking about, John, is extremely credible.
Oh God.
Oh no. Okay, we're talking.
Okay, then
I'm thinking of somebody that comes knocking on Gary's door.
Oh no. Oh,
okay.
This guy's extremely.
All right.
Extremely.
Okay.
Extremely credible and
creditable.
I think I know who you mean, but that's cool. Yeah.
Said that Sasquatch was over 10 feet tall and had shoulders at least 6 feet across.
So you got to think, if it's taking down a full-grown bull moose, that thing had to have been 1,000 pounds at least.
Absolutely.
That's just at least 1,000 pounds. And what's interesting about that encounter, if you remember, Gary, he said that the Sasquatch, John, when he finally got the moose down, he or she, whatever, finally got the moose down. It paid him no mind. It immediately went to work, taking out the internals and doing its thing. Totally.
You think
let him walk out of there.
You think about it. Something that takes down 1,000-pound bull moose is a one single solitary human without a rifle going to cause a threat.
Right.
Now hang on. Now hold on. I got to add 2 cents in this time. Jeremiah. Jeremiah, you know as well as I do in martial arts.
Yes.
All you got to do is get a man off of his balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You've got a 2-footed creature against a 4-footed creature.
Yes.
So it's working in a whole different mechanics. especially if it's as tall.
It is.
So does it have to have that kind of strength? That's what I'm getting at.
The way
would it have to have that kind of strength?
It killed it was phenomenal.
Yes. Then
he got it in a reverse strangle with its face facing the body, took the head like this and snapped it up.
Snapped
his neck.
Kind of like a guillotine would be, like, John, guillotine.
You get a minute.
He said he could see the whole, every vertebrae, right, Gary? Am I putting that right?
Every vertebrae crack like a whip.
Crack like a wave. Yep.
Well,
it's the way. What impressed me about it was the way that this thing took down the moose. Yeah. I'll send you the interview.
Yeah. I'm just John. All I'm saying is it doesn't take. It takes strength, but maybe not the supernatural, superhuman, super hero strength that a lot of people would like to believe. That's all I'm saying.
But one thing, John, and you got a real good point, is technique.
Yeah. Yes.
If he's done it, if he did it then, he's done it before.
That
absolutely
shows an upper level of intelligence.
Yeah.
But he did say that this thing jumped over 35 feet.
35 feet.
To get beside the moose. And the biggest thing about that interview, because Jeremiah interviewed him and then I interviewed him about a year later.
Yep.
And me and Jeremiah sat together and compared, and his did not change, but the amount of detail that he got in with that story and the amount of emotion, it literally profoundly affected him.
Big time. Big time.
Oh, I caught myself, almost started cussing, but it would me too. I mean, it was.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
That's one of the greatest interviews I've ever done.
It was amazing. We interviewed him together as well. It was just absolutely mind blowing. The way the detail, like Gary said, the detail, it didn't, from when I interviewed him alone and Gary interviewed him alone, the stories did not change. We interviewed him together. It did not change, not one iota.
And what was so cool is his background, because he was ex-military. He was a hunting guide. He was also a medic, a paramedic.
Yep.
So, and he was in law enforcement also. So he was trained, and he was artillery scout in the military. Yes. So he was trained to gather those details, and I couldn't believe it.
It was just an awesome interview. What really blows my mind is how the thing he said it, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but he said as soon as that moose expired, the Sasquatch just put its head right down, did not look at him
for a while.
It just put its head down and just went to work on him. Went to work on the Sasquatch.
He actually laid down and gathered his breath. He when he first talked to me, he said he thought it was praying. And then but my first thought is, in doing the martial arts like we do, when you exert that much energy, it probably just was laying there resting.
I gotta agree with you.
Together, when they separate, they'll drop for a little bit. But again, just those kind of details are not. I've always heard the saying "too good to be true." Well, that one was too good not to be true. I mean,
I agree
about how he was talking about how their feet, when it ran by him and it was hanging on to the moose, how he could see the bottom of its feet spinning sideways, trying to keep up the velocity of the moose.
Yep.
And I'm like, you don't be doing this unless you actually seen it or you've spent years.
Right.
So he was kind of describing calf wrestling.
Almost. I mean,
almost. Yeah. He did say the moose.
Love that interview.
I said wrestling, didn't I? Not wrestling.
He did say, Gary. He did say the moose gave the Sasquatch a little for about couple minutes. It did give him a little bit back.
That's how he got so close to him, because it was going around that circle, and he was up against that tree. He said they got to within like 10 feet of him. And the dust flying off of the ground, and which was kind of ironic for me, because that time of the year it was in a skeg field.
But what was he doing when this happened?
Hunting.
Okay.
I
Hunting.
think he was archery hunting, if I remember right, or turkey.
It was either archery or muzzleloader. I forget.
I remember.
I did see a video of a gentleman. Now this is sort of got to do with it, but it's on YouTube, and it was a couple of years ago. I gotta put this chair up a little higher here, but it was on YouTube. See, that makes me look taller. couple, 3 years ago, and there were 2 moose that were going at it.
Yeah.
And this guy, you know, generally when you've got something in the background and you got something in the foreground, just like this.
Yeah.
My hand here looks bigger than my hand here, and they're only, I don't know, 9 inches apart. Okay.
Right.
These 2 moose were going at it. And this guy in the foreground was looking like he's this tall. And he shot one of the moose, placed an arrow in one of them. And they still carried on until that one expired.
Sure.
They had no idea he was there, but that was archery, and you know.
Because their mind is on each other going at it.
Yeah, it takes some cojones to do some archery. I don't have them.
Yeah, I never had the
I'll hunt rabbits with a bow, but that's
Gary, you're pretty good with a bow, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's about the only hunting I do anymore is archery.
Yeah.
The rifles just kind of lost its pizzazz. I mean, I teach the rifle stuff, but
yeah,
if I do any hunting, it's with a bow.
Right. But yeah, that interview was it's one of the best I've ever. One of the best interviews I've ever had with somebody. Just amazing.
Now everybody's going to want to hear it that's out there listening to us carry on. So yeah. Too bad.
What, a year ago Jeremiah's house burnt down?
Yeah.
They lost everything. And I like I said, I talked to him this morning actually on the phone.
Yep.
And but he's still kind of struggling. He was in a hotel working. But
yeah. But he's 100% legit, that's for sure.
Yeah. He's got him a big old black dog that runs with him now. Hangs out with him. Big old baby doll. But no,
great guy.
That's a prime example right there though of, and I'm going to say this, and John, we've had this discussion in the past. If something is by transdimensional or supernatural, why would it need to kill deer and moose?
Right.
To survive, you know.
Good point, you know.
If it bleeds, it can die. If it eats, it ain't spirit.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like me and John was talking about there in central Indiana about how they eat the corn. You know, you'll see them a lot in the corn, you know, the corn thickets and stuff where he's from, and you'll hear them. And actually, what also else eats the corn? The deer. So they follow that. I'm a true believer. I've found evidence of where they'll walk through a corn patch and reach over and grab the corn stalk and take the corn and eat it. You know. Yeah, I think they're a biological creature.
Absolutely. Yep. But
you guys hear me?
Yeah. With that, Joe?
I was wondering if you could hear me. It went dead there for a second.
Hear you. We can hear you perfect.
Okay, good.
But I was actually gonna I didn't get around to. I didn't think of it till later on tonight. I was gonna have him come on with us. I think I will next weekend though.
Who's that?
The gentleman we were just talking about with the moose.
If you can get him, he's pretty busy right now. But yeah, he's great.
Great. It'll be it'd be
that'd be super.
Yeah, he's a good guy, but
you and him would get along well with both of y'all's spirituality.
Absolutely.
Very close.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk about the intelligence a little bit more. You know how we were saying, Gary, you know, when we looked in the eyes, how we saw the thought process. Now I know we touched on it a little bit a few minutes ago, but as far as we all know, all 4 of us here know that they are definitely better in the woods. And, you know,
any of us on a good day, yeah.
There's no question about that. But like you said, Gary, you put a cell phone in their hand and they are going to know.
We got to go throw a log on here. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. Take it. You throw a cell phone in their hand, they aren't going to know what the hell to do with it.
Well,
you know.
Nothing but what I seen. And one thing that got me, you know, after years of, you know, I'm just now coming around to accepting what I seen and getting over the trauma of it, thanks to a lot of you guys for the past 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
You know, John helped me a bunch with that. just being blatant. He said, did it try to kill you? No, it didn't. If it wanted to, it could have. So, and that helped me get over the trauma of it. But then after doing that and analyzing things, you know, the thing I remember the most is when I went to reach for the 45. Is it literally looked at me, it looked at the 45, it looked at me, it huffed into the window, stood up, and took off. So that right there shows to me that there is intelligence. They recognize what they have in their hands. So
exactly.
We changed our research techniques. We don't take long guns with us. We leave them in the trucks. And if we carry a pistol, we wear a shoulder rig or we cover them up. We believe that they know you're carrying a pistol.
Well, yeah, that, you know, when I saw that big female in the swamp, I was no more than 30 feet away from her. Yeah, you remember me telling you, Gary. She looked in my eyes, and her eyes went right to that barrel that was coming up over my shoulder, and she gave me another look. And the only thing, and I swear to God, I'm not saying she mind spoke to me, but the look in her eyes was, go ahead, try to take it off your shoulder, because I will get to you first.
Well, you said the key when you said her. When they look at you, I don't care. Human. You know. Come on.
My point exactly. You know, yeah. She knew what that was on my shoulder. And that's all there is to it. And I will stick to that till the day I die. She knew it.
I believe they think, you know, I've even wondered, you know, can they smell gun oil? Can they discern that, you know, if a gun's been discharged, it carries a scent? You know, like I've had a gun that I have fired and I put it in the truck, and I went in to a store or what have you, came back out and opened the door, and I could smell that powder discharge in the truck. You know,
right?
I'm sure they have to have a very keen sense of smell, hearing, and everything. All of their senses are very attuned to their environment. Well, that's just like people always, you know, people are on the, you know, the game cam thing. I'm sorry, but if someone broke into your house in the middle of the night without you knowing it and hung a clock on the wall and then left without touching anything else, do you think that you recognize a strange clock on the wall?
Absolutely.
I would. Absolutely. So I think, you know, these creatures live in the woods, and every tree is familiar to them as, you know, where my light switches are in the dark. You know,
don't move their furniture around, especially in the dark. They trip, they get pissed. So
that's a real good point. It's been scientifically proven that the olfactory system is the most keen memory stable system we have.
Yeah.
If you'll remember in some of our primitive life skills, what is the average distance? A quarter of a mile you can smell a cigarette? I think some people's like a quarter of a mile to a half a mile.
It's 100 yards, but it's still 440 yards to a quarter mile.
My father is downwind to me. He don't even have to be smoking. I can be 150 yards away from him, and I've done it in the woods, and we've had people out with us, and they're like, "Where's your dad?" I say, "He's back here." They're like, "Why is that?" I say, "Because I can smell his cigarettes, and I can tell you what he's smoking."
We've all walked by people, and we've smelled them. I don't care. We've walked by people, whatever they're wearing, whether they've bathed or not, we've smelled them.
Absolutely.
You take that factor of something that lives in the woods and eats everything organically, and all the chemicals we eat, our smell, I truly believe, would be offensive to these beings.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think so too.
He's been eating White Castles and drinking Millers again.
Right.
Yeah. If you know what White Castles are, some guys don't. Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Little sliders. Yeah.
Well, it's like, you know, people like, that's a good point, Gary, you know, about the smell, you know, because some people claim they've had encounters where they get that smell, you know, the odor. And, you know, I mean, if you harvest a bear, bears can stink pretty good, you know, but
deer reek. Oh my God, deer reek, man. They reek.
Yeah, right. So, you know, we can smell, if human beings can smell them sometimes, whether it's a musk gland, I've heard that theory, whether it's just the odor coming off them. If we can smell them, damn well they can smell us. I totally agree on that, Gary. It's probably offensive.
Says that smell is offensive. That's a natural smell for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, every one of y'all's probably got a pet dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I'm too irresponsible to take care of another living creature.
They go roll in feces. They go eat feces. It's a 100% natural reaction to them. We're like appalled by it, But it's a natural reaction to them. Now you thinking, they talk about this sulfur smell all the time down here in the South with the Sasquatch. I've explained it more than once to them, and they're like, "Huh?" Because I've seen it. These rascals up underneath the oil wells, and they rub that oil on them, and it's got that sulfury smell to get the ticks and the lice off of it. I've seen hogs do it. I've found tracks where they've crawled up underneath an oil drum. I've taken 5 reports from credible people in the oil field that when they pull up on the job site, one jumps up from behind the derrick and takes off running. And in a survival situation, that's one of the first things we learn when you're in deep in what we call the muck or the slop. You find sulfur, or you find mud with sulfur or salt licks or mineral licks, and you drink that water. And the more you get in your system, the more you can fight off the ticks and mosquitoes.
I got a dog here. I'm surprised you can't smell him where you live, Gary. He needs a bath bad.
But another thing too with that smell, they say it passes and it goes. How many times have we seen in the zoos of gorillas and chimpanzees, when they get excited, they defecate
and throw it at you?
Throw it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The old terminology has happened to me of getting the shit scared out of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Next time that happens, Gary, you just pick up a wad and go, "Well, take this," and watch them throw it back at you and bounce it off your forehead.
I took a report from a guy that actually claims he
a ritual.
That'd be your luck.
This guy claims he right before his encounter, was it you that we interviewed him together, Gary, or maybe it was Travis? I forget. But point being, he was walking through the woods on a trail, and all of a sudden claimed he was hit on the side of the face with fecal matter, and that's when he saw this thing run across the path in front of him. So I'm sure it wasn't pleasant. I'm sure it wasn't a pleasant experience, but he
couldn't see so he couldn't see for shit, right?
He couldn't see for shit, right?
I had never had the smell, during the encounter. 5 months ago, we went to Brown Springs, down a pretty famous area here in the Midwest. And all right,
hey, Scout.
Oh, there he is. Yeah,
there he is.
But we went down there, and I had my first not encounter, but we had found fresh tracks. And I stay away from the microphone, son. Had found fresh tracks. I mean, they still had water seeping from the sand.
Oh, wow.
Lo and behold, me and my dad and Tex from Trinity Paracryptid, and I've never experienced that smell, but a smell come across. It smelled just like they explained, like wet skunk, wet dog, and urine and feces. And
sulfury as well.
A little bit, but you know how you get a mud hole, like if you disturb a real old rancid mud hole, that real smell that comes. That's what it smelled like. But there wasn't holes around. We was on the up from the river, and it just wafted through and then dissipated. So if it was a mud hole, you figure, because the wind wasn't changing, but you figure that it would stay. That was
right.
I can't say that it was Sasquatch. I didn't lay my eyes on one, but we did have fresh sign. And it came through. And I mean, I guess you can say professional opinion, whatever had made that track had made it within 30, 45 minutes,
Wow.
And that
Excuse me 1 second, gentlemen. Carry on. He's right back.
Now, where's he going?
My dog knocked over he was trying to get in the trash can and knocked over the trash can while I was reading. I had to run.
I wish I could get my dog come in here. He'll bring a bone in, and I'll tell him, drop it right here. And that darn dog, he'll pick it up and he'll run. If I want to get rid of my dog, all I got to do is tell him, come here and drop the bone. He's gone. And he takes the bone, he lays down in the other room and just gnaws on it.
Mine's gotten a taste for antlers. I don't know why. Like he got out in my shop, but I make my custom knives and have the antlers.
Yeah.
And he's been digging in my antlers, dragging out antlers, and some of my good ones. And I'm like, so we've been buying him antlers. I don't know if it's he's getting older and his teeth might be acting up or something. He's 6 years old now, but I've got
You got Kroger's out in your area?
Yes, sir. We sure do.
They got a bone that's about this long, costs $12. My dog ate some hair pipe off of this rifle scabbard I had for my sharps. And I kind of had words with him. And then I had some antler here, and I thought, okay, well, I just let him have a piece of antler. All right. Well, the problem with that is once I let him have a piece of antler, then he decided that he wanted every piece of antler. Right. So I went to Kroger's and I got this bone, and my gosh, he chews them down to nub, but they're probably, I don't know, 8-9 inches long, about so big around, and they look like a bone at each end. But pick those up. Wherever he went, it looked like he just left.
Right.
Is he still there?
He's still there. He just got his camera off.
Okay. Yeah, but that might help him. That might keep him away from the antler. I know I got antler laying around because I make knives too. So, yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I hate to do this, but
no.
I'm being summoned. I got to go into town, unfortunately, at this hour. But
what's the temperature there?
You don't want to know. No, it's actually warm today. Warmer. We had a day. It was 30-something below. 2 days.
30 something below. So it's warmer now.
It's warmer now. It's above zero. So.
Oh well, there you go.
Right now it's probably 12 degrees out.
It's 29, I think, or 26 here.
Down there.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
It was 8 or 18 or 16, 15 the other couple days ago.
Yeah, it's brutal up here right now. It's just
it has snowed twice this year, and both of them I could stick my finger in like this and it would not come up past halfway up my fingernail. I'm just quarter inch, half inch, dusting.
Right.
Sun comes out, gone. Anyway.
Gone.
Yeah. Enough of me.
Well, yeah, guys, thanks for coming on tonight. Gary, did you have something? You look like you were just about to speak. See, that's how well I know you. I can tell when you're about to.
I was just going, y'all's talking temperatures. Today's the warmest day we've had in 2 weeks, and it's like 28 degrees.
That's cold. That's cold for there. Isn't it?
Yeah.
We haven't had no snow like John was saying, but it's been pretty cold.
Yeah, we've been pounded with snow, and then it'll get cold. I can deal with and Joe, you're a Northeasterner. You can attest to this too. I'd rather deal with a foot of snow than deal with the 30 below zero.
Oh yeah,
that hurts the gas bill.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Being retired is kind of a plus when it gets down to snowing. Hey, you're home. You're home anyhow.
That's right.
Oh, well,
Snow is we do the ice. We get ice here, and and nobody knows how to drive in it.
Nope.
Yeah.
Send them out to the Rockies; they'll learn real fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I lived in the Rockies. Those mountain passes are freaking scary, man.
Yeah, I lived
scary shit.
I lived there too, and that's when I come back to Indiana. I was like, these people have no idea how to drive.
Right.
Yeah, everybody gets how to drive every year. It takes a couple minutes to reassimilate to driving in the snow.
Yeah, when I moved back from North Carolina, it was an adjustment learning how to drive in the snow again. But guys, I appreciate it. It's great to see y'all. Just hang out for a minute after I stop recording. Joe, thank you. for coming on. You are more than welcome to come on this show with us anytime you want, man.
Yeah, please do ask again. I'll be here.
Absolutely.
I'm retired. I don't know what's else going on. This was kind of great.
Nice meeting you, Joe.
Hey, nice you too, John. Pleasure, man. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, look up John D. Schweitzer. There's 2 of us in the country.
Oh, hold on 1 second here, gentlemen. We got Carter's coming on a little late here, but
we're still recording.
We're still recording.
So I gotta be professional.
Yeah, you sign off and make him go, ooh.
I don't know where he is. They just admitted him.
Yeah, Joe, look up John D. Schweitzer. It's like I say, I'm in Indiana. The other fellow's out on the West Coast somewhere.
All right. Well, mine says Post Falls, but I'm in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. I just haven't got around to changing it yet. So not a priority for me. So
well, I'll look that up then.
Carter, can you hear us?
Can't hear
no, can't hear us.
Or he can hear us, but we can hear him.
Yeah, Carter, we can't hear you, bud. Huh. Well, I will message him afterwards. He just messaged me and told me he needed a passcode, but I sent him one. He must have figured it out.
It's just a matter of him just turning his audio on.
Yeah, Carter, if you can hear us, just turn your audio on. But yeah, while we'll wait, give him another few minutes here. You want to heard about any encounters lately, Gary?
Actually, just took one from your area in North Carolina.
Did you?
Yeah,
okay.
Excuse me.
South Carolina. Okay.
It was right outside the north gate. No, it's North Carolina. Right outside the north gate of Fort Bragg.
Okay.
It wasn't Bigfoot either.
Aha. Okay. That gives me an idea for our topic next weekend, gentlemen.
And from 10 feet on the side of a road, driving down the road, they had just left the north gate, heading north. I can't think of the name of the little town there. It's within a mile of the north gate of Fort Bragg, and the things kind of ran out on all fours, stood up as they drove by, and it was all in the car. And 4 people seen it. One a colonel, wife, and their 2 children.
See, that's always a plus when you have more than one witness.
Yeah.
You know.
What I'll do is I'll type it up and send it to you. But,
okay, that'd be great. That'd be great.
And of course, we have a big bunch of stuff here in Oklahoma. I've got all kinds of new experiences and people, stuff. But I truly believe that now, per capita, I think Oklahoma has more reports than even Oregon and California.
Oregon, yeah, or Oklahoma. There's a lot of stuff that comes out of Oklahoma. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, John,
gentlemen. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Gary.
I was gonna say, when you stop recording, before you jump off, I want to show you something. I got something to be right down your alley.
Okay.
It's not the girl I knew from Oklahoma, is it? I wasn't going to bring her up when you said a lot of stuff.
I knew that was coming. I knew.
She's a girl. She's pretty. She's a lot older than I am.
Well,
hopefully prettier than you are.
Oh, she is.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We will be back next Sunday. So make sure we get this. I should have this posted by Tuesday. And everybody, we will be recording again next Sunday. So yeah, we're back. So
you're gonna make me miss 1883. Jeez.